All right, thank you for tuning in to another episode of If You Can't Take the Heat. The topic that I'm going to address right now is one that's a little difficult to talk about. Just recently was Bourdain Day, which is June 25th. It's a celebration of Anthony Bourdain's life that people celebrate on his birthday. His good friends, chefs Jose Andres and Eric Repair, started this a few years ago. We actually partnered with the National Alliance on Mental Illness and did a dinner a couple of years back to raise money for it. We plan on making it a yearly thing, but with all the COVID stuff, we've gotten thrown off a little bit, but we plan on getting back to that soon. I'm sure you know who Anthony Bourdain is, but to me, he was a super influential person in my life. He's the reason I actually decided to not go to culinary school and just start working in restaurants. And he kind of changed the way that I thought about food and travel and people, and kind of put a lot of my thoughts into words in a way that I wasn't capable of for a long time. He actually, I found out the news of his passing on the day that I opened our second location of Maribo in the Pythian Market, which we closed during COVID. But that morning, woke up excited to open the first offshoot of our restaurant. And the first thing I see on my phone is that Anthony Bourdain is dead from an apparent suicide in France. And it was crushing news to hear. Not only because I was sad for him, but because I was sad because this has just become a common theme in this business and to a lot of people I know. So far in my 12 years of doing this professionally, 4 people that I know that have either worked for me when it happened or worked for me before have either committed suicide or died of a drug overdose. And a lot of other people I know that didn't die have still had pretty terrible negative effects on their life from substance abuse, alcoholism, depression. For some reason, it seems like this industry draws a lot of people that have those issues. I think some of it is the fact that this issue is very much just a meritocracy. Nobody really cares what you do or who you are or how you look, as long as when you show up to work, you know what you're doing and you do a good job. And so a lot of times people kind of look past all kind of negative behavior or even just differences. We're a very accepting industry. Everybody gets along, everybody likes each other, but it kind of does invite some bad habits. Another reason is because it can be pretty high-paced, high-stress environment. Although it might seem like cooking dinner for people isn't that stressful, when you're in the thick of it for 12, 14 hours a day, sometimes at the end of it, you feel like you're kind of electrified. And a lot of people have a hard time coming down from that. And a lot of people supplement that with drugs or alcohol or partying. And unfortunately, it becomes a lifestyle for a lot of people that they can't get out of, or it encourages a lifestyle they're already in that isn't healthy. Almost everybody I know that's in this business has at least gone through a phase of unhealthy living related to that. I certainly have, and there's actually been times where it was kind of on and off for me. I would kind of realize that I had maybe been going a little too hard, not really living the life that I wanted to live, and I've certainly seen cooks go through phases like that as well. For the longest time, it was kind of celebrated. It was like a thing that everybody kind of liked about being in this industry. It was very rough and tumble. We were a bunch of pirates, and it kind of added a sense of camaraderie and made people kind of like it. But over time, a lot of chefs and other people in the business have started to realize that it's not really good for longevity. It's not good for long-term health. It's not good for your mental health. And it's stuff that was never talked about before. A lot of people did all those things, not as a way just to have fun, but as a way to medicate and get over some of the difficulty in their life. And so something that, we really try to address now is making sure that as a restaurant and as a chef and a restaurant owner, that we try to put things in place where that lifestyle isn't as celebrated, or B, isn't encouraged, or even let's say necessary. A lot of the things that used to be part of it, like the grind. You work 80 hours. If you're a chef, you don't work 80 hours a week, you're not putting in the work. If you're a chef, you don't work 18-hour shifts, you're not putting in the work. the no days off, I grinded for 10 years, the whatever it is. And then also just the treatment of people around you, right? It used to be standard that if you were a cook and you made a mistake, you were getting screamed at, yelled at. I mean, some of this is going to sound a little horrific, but people used to burn people. People used to, like throw pots and pans at people. Like that was all normal. And a lot of chefs came up in that. And because they came up in it, they felt soft if they didn't perpetrate the same behavior. And so that's something that, even when I started out as a chef 5 or 6 years ago, full time, I was a much more hot-headed, frustrated, easily angerable person. And, over time, I've begun to realize that isn't productive and it doesn't make the people around you happier or better. So besides the fact that we care about people and want people to be happier and want them to do this, from a strict business standpoint, it's better for you to not be an asshole. You're going to have better employees, happier employees. Happier employees are going to make for happier guests. You're going to have people with more longevity. You're going to have a staff that sticks around. You're going to have people that care about your place as much as you do, or at least more than they would if you treated them the way people used to treat people. And then from a personal standpoint, you're going to help people that otherwise may have gone down another path. Every time I've heard the news about a cook who either died of an overdose or, committed suicide, it's heartbreaking. And the last time it happened that I heard about it, it was actually a guy who was one of my sous chefs when we opened Maribo, and we spent a tremendous amount of time together. And when I heard that he had passed away, it was heartbreaking. I broke down, I cried. Me and my other sous chef had a real hard time talking about it. And from that moment on, I really wanted to commit to doing everything I could to make sure that I never had to get that phone call again about a cook or a person that used to work with me or whatever. And so that means a lot of things. And we're not obviously perfect, but I encourage chefs and I encourage restaurant owners to take the time to make this a discussion you have with people that work for you. Since then, I've had discussions with everybody from dishwashers to cooks to servers and my salaried people about how they feel. How do they feel at work? How do they feel when they go home? Do they need anything? And at times it's still incredibly disappointing because some people are still going to do things that aren't healthy for them. But I can lay my head down at night and know that I tried and know that, at the very least, even if that person feels like nobody else in their life cares about them, they know that I do. This place, a restaurant here, I spend more time with these people than I do with anybody else in my life, more than family, more than close friends. And over time, these people do become your family. And it's just incredibly important to me that not only, do they know that, because a lot of them don't have much family of their own, or they do have family that's maybe in a very self-destructive cycle as well, but they know that they have a person that is here, that is willing to listen, that is willing to talk, and that there are resources, even if it's just saying, hey boss, can we talk for a minute? And so, I just want this to be a thing that people are willing to discuss. It's never been something that's easy for people to talk about on either side, but I think everybody is starting to understand that keeping this stuff bottled up isn't healthy. And a lot of stuff that chefs have kind of took pride in for so long is actually negative. And I hope that we start to shift the culture towards more of a culture that understands this and makes it a priority. And I hope you guys will be a part of it. It doesn't just have to be in restaurants. It can be stuff that you can do with your friends and family as well. So I encourage everybody to do that. In honor of the impact that Anthony Bourdain had on a lot of people's life. And then not only him, like I said, all the other people that I've lost to this, terrible thing. So I encourage you to get out, talk to people, give somebody a hug, tell them you care about them. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of You Can't Take the Heat. I appreciate your time.